Yay!
Welcome to Impact.
Hello, how's it going?
Ollie and Beatrice in the house.
Wow, in your house.
In my house.
We're good, this is your house.
You can tell it's my house, look, I've got no shoes on.
Hi, we are both dance classes. I am Beatrice Ghezzi.
And I'm Ollie Quick.
This collection of interviews is part of our Teachers Rehab 22 project, funded by the Arts Council of England.
We've interviewed a selection of dance practitioners who've made an impactful contribution to education and learning over a period of time. They come from different dance disciplines and they work in different contexts, and we hope you find their words as inspiring as we have.
Rosie and Beverly from Irie Dance Theatre.
Temujin and Sunanda from Grounded Movement.
Hakeem from Impact Dance.
And Erica from the University of Roehampton.
So welcome to Impact. Come through. So the first thing that's really important is what we call our threshold moment. So it doesn't matter where you're coming from, what's on your mind, what's been going on in life generally. It's really important that you have a positive kind of mindset when you walk into the space. So this has been a really important saying for me. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It's the old saying, if you don't write your history, someone's going to write it for you. And probably write it wrong. So this is just about some of the highlights of what's been happening in it. Sure, everything we do.
Lovely lass.
Lovely lass. So into the corridor. As you can see, the history continues. That's when I worked with Zoo Nation. I played the landlord in Into the Hoods. It's kind of
I watched you. I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it twice actually.
Amazing.
I took a group of year 3 people there, and do you remember there was a scene where they used to make someone let someone used to go and sit on the lap of someone in the audience?
Yes.
That was
yes.
me.
Was it? Then this is our next really important, well, my really important statement. 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. So when I really found out why I was around and what I was about, that's when it kind of started taking off even more. And this is where it started, 1995.
Yes, that's
This is where it started, and this is where I met Ollie. And the reason it's here is because this is my office. So we said everything comes out of my office.
Express yourself.
Yeah, and this is really important as well, this purple line. We do not have hierarchy in Impact. Even though someone has a role of a CEO, someone has a role of social media, everyone's on the same line. Everyone's voice is really important. Everyone's voice is heard. And this is a really important camera.
Why is that?
Because this caught street dance from about 2000 up to about 2015, Debo. And he actually put a film on at the View Cinema in Stratford, and he used that camera. So we've got young people, hard to reach, etc., etc. I don't really need to go into it. We've got this couple called the Backup. So in the Backup, we have the following. They can help themselves to anything they want to in turn time. Wow. Really important as well. There's that, the whole thing you heard about period poverty and all this kind of stuff. Really important. I mean, we'll sock it up again from the beginning of the term, but there's no charge. But all the young people know it's here. Big up the Hygiene Bank. Hygiene Bank donate every 2-3 months to top us up. The young people can stay fresh and clean.
It's so good.
The young people, this is their room. It's not our room. It's also a safe space. So come in. They can just do what they need to do. They can just chill out. They've got their TV. They've got a rehearsal space. They've got their mirrors, and they're in here. They take over. And up there as well, if you home in, this is what it used to look like. That bottom corner there. That's the studio we're about to go into, and also the kitchen area. So you can see we've done a lot of work. It took us 4 months. What we try and teach them is downtime. How do you use your downtime? Yes, you need to recharge, drink water, eat food, but if something was bothering you in the space that you couldn't quite get, why are you just going to sit and wait till the next session? Take ownership and go, what was it? Go through something with a friend. This kind of promotes that kind of environment. Into the main feature. I'll put the lights on in a minute. Main feature is our space. They replicated the light shafts up there so you can see. All that absorbs the sound. So I feel like, the hip hop heads love their mirrors, don't they? Hip hop heads like contemporary people like to be around and they want to pull. But hip hop heads want to see themselves, yeah? They want to see themselves. This door, it's a big square. They call this the TARDIS, by the way. You know why? TARDIS, yeah?
Get lost in it.
No, Doctor Who. No, Doctor Who, the TARDIS, yeah? That's the TARDIS. Hi, my name is Hakeem, Mr. Impact. And yeah, I'm a dance ambassador. Been around for 26 years. Not always having fun, but having fun at the moment. Dance was an escape for me. 1995, graduated 4 years from a biochemistry degree. It's like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I not playing rugby? Walked into Dance Works. Rest is history. Started teaching a class with no experience. And luckily, carried on, persevering. That's why I met you. But yeah, it was an escape for me. I didn't think it was a career. I didn't think it was anything that could be a legacy. Didn't realize the legacy of what Impact was going to become. But thank goodness, it's one of those ones you look back and it's almost like you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat thinking, what if I hadn't taken it seriously? What would I be doing right now? So yeah, that's how I got into dance. And at first it was really hard because I didn't know what I was doing. And you know, I think dance is more accessible now, even though I still feel there's barriers to dance. I think dance is more accessible now, you know, obviously with things like TikTok and stuff like that. But back in them days, if you weren't dancing at the place and you weren't in a ballet company, people didn't take you seriously. Hip hop was not around. The hip hop sound, hip hop music, the culture was around, but hip hop dance wasn't really around. I mean, John-Z's starting to emerge with things like Airplane Man and a few of his other pieces of work, but it was hard. But at the same time, that was an advantage as well because you didn't have so many people to aspire to or live up to in terms of your practice and your craft. So you could kind of get in there and blag it for a while, which I did. And then a few people started seeing I was making waves in terms of my enthusiasm more than anything else. I knew choreography was something that you learn, your movement style is something you learn, but what I didn't have was classroom management. And thank goodness I did classroom management courses before I met you, because maybe you wouldn't have come back to class. And I say that in jest, but I think classroom management is everything. I think, you know, that's your foundation. People think it's all about the choreo and the moves, but actually no, it's about connecting with people. And I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of connected and we're doing this work together, is because there's something about stopping and just looking and seeing what's going on. Who's happy, who's sad, who's connecting, who's not connecting, as well as 5, 6, 7, 8. And I worked really hard on that. I still cringe now when I see people teaching sometimes. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I think the art of teaching, a lot of it is lost, not everywhere, but I feel it's important that we look in ourselves and make sure we're in the space doing the right thing. It became quite apparent that being the top choreographer in the UK or being a top dancer wasn't really the thing for me. What's really important for me was allowing people to be, empowering people, giving people platforms and opportunities. And sometimes the dance teacher is dismissed, but actually my role is to try to encourage people to be the next inspirators, because we need inspirators. And I don't just teach in a studio. I'm kind of like of the guys that I'm teaching 24/7. Shouldn't be, because you need to switch off, but how I carry myself, my body language, what I say about the art is teaching in itself. It's not just, it's a 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock class and you're teaching. So what, 11 o'clock you come out of the class and you're just all over the place? No, or you contradict what you said in the class. And the firm reason for that is because there are young people with aspirations to be successful, whatever you deem successful. And I think it's important for us to give them the tools and the information they need to be successful, because it's, as we know, it's a jungle out there. Teaching is very important. I know some incredible teachers. That's all they not all, see, shouldn't even say that, but that's what they've done from day one. But they are so important in in our industry, and they get unseen. Like they say, behind every amazing performer or successful person, there was a great teacher, right? And it's so true. It's frustrating sometimes because you invest so much into people sometimes, and sometimes, unfortunately, people, as they become what they deem famous, they forget who you are. But the upside of that is there's some people that check in with me and remind me of those times, like remind me of an Express Yourself class, or remind me that they're in an audition and they thought of my positivity and they got that audition and they're doing amazing things. So our role as teachers, not just in the space, is paramount, is important. And I chose to fill that space. I choose to fill that space, and I choose to continue to fill that space. So I'll be honest, sometimes it's frustrating because some companies or some people, some individuals don't take us as seriously, because they're kind of the guys that, oh yeah, because you haven't got work on at Sadler's Wells, you're not on tour. That's not, but you know what, your thinking is very limited, because actually one of your dancers started with us. So open up your mind. I guess my thinking it's not like rigid specifically. Look, our academy is made up of young people between 11 to 19 and accessible to all. But yeah, we do make a point of trying to access young people, particularly young people in South London, maybe from environments and families that are not maybe doing that well, carrying baggage, mental health and stuff. So there's that. And I'm saying this out there, it doesn't matter if someone in their 50s comes and knocks our door, says, look, I've heard about you, or I've known you guys for a while, can you help? Yeah, sure. So it's not ageist, it's not specifically it's just, we've got to be honest with ourselves. Can we help you? Can we give you the information? And we identify very quickly, if we can't give you the information, we know someone who can. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I know, for example, you two are a resource. There's something that someone's asking me, like, yeah, I can give you a vague idea, but I know Orly and Beatrice have got a fantastic toolbox that they can help you with. Yeah, of course. And I think we don't do that well as an industry. We don't do that as well. We should be resourcing each other and referring to each other. Sometimes it's a very closed shop. It's very much like, oh, I don't know the answer, can't help you, or I know someone else can give the answer better, but I'm gonna blag this. No, don't blag it, especially if someone's come to you. So I think what I'm trying to say is, we as Impact, we're a family. We have people that are returning to us 24/7. Yes, as a company who is subsidized and funded by, and what our work is targeted is 11 to 19 specifically. But what happens when they get to 19? You just say, bye, see you later. No, we just do what we feel is important, and that's supporting people. Supporting people. So Impact Dance, our core activity is about young people. But in order to function, we have to facilitate our studio. So our studio allows us to come in contact with lots of different people, from the Lion King to Tina Turner to Magic Mike to Sadler's Wells to Dance Umbrella to whoever. That's our core. But really, it might sound really a bit crass, but that's our means to an end, because we're running a building. What we live for is Saturdays, our academy. But what that model gives us is the opportunity to not worry about the funding, not worrying about putting the cost onto the young people. Now, because we're covering, as they say in business, now that the business is washing its face, we can actually go and do what we want to do, which is looking after the young people. So our program is a program on a Saturday. It starts at 9:45. Well, it's just slightly changed. So it'll start at 9:45. I'm doing this from memory. And I'm going to tell you our mentality as well. And this would be really interesting to get your reaction. But we actually bring Christina Mittelmeier in. She's a ballet teacher. And she does the first session. But we've actually changed the name of the session to Training Session 1. Because ballet became this thing with the young people. I'm doing a ballet class, I don't know, kind of thing like that. And we're not teaching them ballet because we want them to be ballet dancers. As we all know in this room, we know the benefits of doing ballet. Even though we're a hip hop company, we know the benefits. So we tended to move away from ballet first, whatever. We just call it training session 1. Then after training session 1, we do training session 2. Training session 2 is an acronym. It's FOIL, FOIL, and that stands for Foundation of Impact Language. So we've analyzed over the last 25 years, how do we move? What are the components of how we move? What are the components that allow them to create, to perform, and also what will allow them to go and work with a choreographer like Yukiko Masui, for example? What are the tools they need? So we've developed this 11-minute sequence that they do on repeat every week. And it challenges your pliés, your lunges, it challenges your footwork, it challenges your focus, it challenges, what else does it do? I can't remember all of them. Your lines, it challenges, we've thought of every kind of movement. It's like the 6 actions of dance, but we've thought of every movement you can do in dance, and we've looked at it, and it's an 11-minute sequence that they do on repeat. So when they start, they're not very good at it. The first thing is they've got to walk forward, eyes focus on something, and walk back. When they first start, they're just like this. And then they ask us, why do we do this walking forward thing? Then later on, we're doing a piece of choreography, and there's a moment in the choreography, as you know, where we want them to traverse across the room and just walk and burn the back of the eye of someone in the audience. And they're like, oh, now we get it. Because once we're in that muscle memory, so that's FOIL, that's kind of our components of FOIL. So that's training session 2. Training session 3 is Sherilyn takes them across the floor and does quite a lot of floor work with them. Because again, in hip hop, tend to want to stand up and do gestures. So we take them across the floor because we find that exercise sounds bad. It kind of exposes them, as you know, going across the floor, like they go in 2s and 3s, and it builds their confidence because they got to do something important. Then training session 4 is choreography. So they'll be learning something or multiple things. So that's our academy, and it starts at 9:45. It goes on till 1 o'clock. Then we have a 45-minute break. Then our youth company trains for 2 hours. So the youth company is taken from our academy. We've currently got about 30 people in our academy at the moment, and they will re-audition at the start of the term, and maybe 12, 15 will get in. That will make up the youth company. The youth company will train because they've got upcoming events. For example, this Saturday we're in Oxford with Body Politic. They're performing. So yeah. And then that's 1 till 3. And then 3 till 6, our older company comes in. So that's FFI, fully functioning individuals. So those people that have graduated from the academy, they're post 19. So we've got people who graduated from Middlesex. We've got Kia, who's at Rambert, got Kyra, and they are more self-sufficient. We tend to step back and we say, what are you making? Why are you making it? Learn from each other. So that's the day, and that's the progression. So the day goes from 9:45 till 6. That's our main core. That's what we live for. And from that, lots of activity comes from that. Festivals, training, all sorts of bits and pieces. I've been fortunate from a long time now that I was pushed onto stage with a microphone back in the 90s. So I've honed my skills as a compere. So I recently co-hosted on Sky the House of the Dragon, which is part of Game of Thrones, red carpet stuff. I do a lot of that. We do dance holidays, do all sorts of bits and pieces. Just get on with it, really. Keeps me on the straight and narrow. I take experiences, things I learn, bring them back into the space. Because I think dance can be quite isolated in terms of our practice, how we feel things should be done. And you go into a different environment, you're on set for Game of Thrones or whatever, and you see something like, oh gosh, didn't think we could bring it back, try out your own creativity. Yes, I can never compromise on my values. I use an analogy that people are like, why don't you go pineapple and hang out with certain people? I'm sure you'll get these commercial jobs and stuff. Because I got to wake up in the morning and look at myself, and I'm not going to, I've got to keep this PC, I'm not going to buddy up with people to get where I want to. Take me on my value, take me on my hard work, take me on what I'm about. That's one value. I won't compromise on the values of impact. You know, just won't, you know, the values we have: safe, empowerment, growth, teamwork, are 4 values. No, can't compromise on that. Can't compromise on stuff like paying people their worth. It doesn't matter, you know, it's like, you get a budget's £100, and you know you ask someone to do some work, and you know their work is worth £100. A lot of people will go, I'll only pay you 50. I'd rather pay you £100 and have 0 myself, because I'm paying you what your worth is, and I'll work out the rest myself. Because if we don't do that, we don't stand by that, what have we got? Nothing. Hope for the future. I think things are changing. If we talk about dance, this could be really controversial, but I think new exciting organisations are going to have their time in the sun. I feel organisations that have not been delivering, their time is up. So we have Gina, social media assistant, we have Joey, head of engagement, and we have the senior producer, Paige Jarrett. And this is the hub, this is the engine room, this is where we meet, this is where everything happens, this is our space.
I think it's life-changing is probably the word that sums it all up. Being able to today I have shoes on, 9 times out of 10 I don't have shoes on. It's, home away from home, being able to leave work at work, but also just having the young people in the space whilst we're here, they now get the bigger picture of, oh, you're not just here on a Saturday when we're here, you're here during the week. And they come in and they see the stuff that we've written on the board. They get an even bigger picture then of what has gone into getting to this point. And I think it just shows that if you work hard, you can get to where you're supposed to be, but it's all about timing.
Life skills, and it's the sense of the family-orientated environment. In the recent trip that we went to Canterbury, all the kids were mentioning about how they come here and they feel safe and they feel that they can be themselves. They haven't got to live up to a certain stereotype that they may have to do in school because they feel comfortable around their dance peers and the team, and it's just a different environment to what they're used to nowadays, which I'm here for. More kids need it.
I think it's the opportunity to be part of something professional at a high standard as well. So yes, it's a youth academy, but the opportunity to step into a professional space in the middle of central London, to have the opportunity to perform on a whole range of stages, and for those young people to know that they belong in those spaces, and that we give them the opportunities to rise to that we have set high expectations, and that they rise to the standards that are requested, that required of them.
I like being challenged, I like being asked, I like reaffirming why do I do things.